Welcome to another edition of The Bones of Advertising. I'm Craig McLeod, and of course you are.
I'm busy. I am so busy.
Hey, busy, how are you?
Busy, like a little busy bee. I'm just buzzing around because, and you know why I'm busy?
You tell me why.
Because I've been busy and I made the fatal mistake of not putting any time in the bank while I was busy. So I spent all the time that I was going to have after I was really busy, stored up all of the stuff that I was supposed to do while I was doing the other thing that made me busy. So I had a shitload of stuff to do so that when I stopped being busy, I actually became really, really busy in order to get rid of the stuff that I'd done before hadn't done when I was,
For those of you following us at home, don't worry because I've got no fucking idea of what I just said. But
I don't know what that's called. I'm sure there must be a name for it, like precrastination or something. Like, you're so busy, you forget that you've actually got to do just the normal stuff, like, organize yourself and tidy your desk. And
great place to start, JD. When you're busy, I think one of the absolute imperatives, and it's a mandatory, you got to start your list. If you're not a list person, you've got to start lists. And if you are a list person, you're going as if I wouldn't have a list. Like they list everything. Scratch eyebrow. Okay, put a line through that. There's those that list that heavily. And then there's those that kind of just list the top lines, like brief studio or, talk with finance or, send email to client. Like there's that level. And then there's the real sort of granular right into each component of it. But I think creating lists is a really great way to manage your time.
Yep.
And then methodically go through and prioritize all of those things that you've got on. Yep. And then one by one go through, tick them off. The other one, which I'm a massive fan of, is just delegating. When you get really busy, you, and then all of a sudden you're not busy anymore.
Is that your old football career coming back? Like just handball, just get it in, get the work, and then handball it out, and then get in. Like you're in and under kind of midfielder.
Yeah, that's definitely the in and under midfielder. And no, I don't think that was me as a footballer, but I do think that there's those that do just get themselves into a busy state and then just part the ways and make sure that everyone else is even more busy. So they load everyone else up who's already busy by just saying, no, I can't possibly be doing this.
That would be beneath me. Yeah, I worked with a guy who was just a hardcore, like a ninja, list ninja.
Yeah, right.
And he didn't do the long list because his contention was you spend so much time actually making the list, you actually don't get time to do the stuff that's on the list.
That's one of those big lists.
Yeah, and then you've got I've just got, here are the main things I've got, like, a list of 10 things. Like, it's just, remember to do that, whatever. This guy was like, no, it's a rule of 5. He had a rule of 5 for his list. He said, I'll put 5 things on my list.
Yep.
And then I either have to complete them or admit that they can't be done in order to put something else on the list.
Yeah, okay.
And so if someone came up to him and said, I need you to do this, he'd bring his list out and he'd go, which one of those am I not doing then?
It's not one of the 5.
Which was really effective because it was like, okay, where am I? Where do I sit in the importance of things?
Yep.
And B, I actually see that you actually,
owning your time. I like that. So you're really taking control of your own diary and making sure that the only things that go in are the things that are a priority. So again, not saying that other people can't infiltrate the diary and put things in, but if it goes in, it's going to be at a cost, and that cost will be the other thing that won't be able to be done.
Yeah. What's that? Like Peter Drucker or one of those, but heavyweight, but business management types. Whoever it was.
His name in here. We'll just put
it
will probably be Frank Zappa or something like that.
Hey, Frank Zappa was a marvel. Like he just he spent all his time, all the time he was going to spend after he was dead, he spent it in his life. Like he lived too big of a life. It was amazing. It's like a little rabbit hole. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, no, you were telling me about your list ninja.
He said there is no success, there is only compromise. Right. And what he meant by that was there is whatever you whatever you set out to achieve, you can do the absolute best job anyone in the world has ever done, ever. And there will be no perfect. Like there will always be, after you've put the proposal in, or when the ad runs, or there's always that tiny little, if only I'd had the time to do. And he said,
could have done.
Yeah, there is no success, or there is no perfect. There is only compromise. And so it's only like, you've got this much time, you've got this much money.
This is what will be done.
These are the parameters. These are why truly creative people are able to take all those resources, time and money and every other thing, and turn that into commercial success, or the Mona Lisa or whatever.
Now, I'm going to table something with you, JD. I'm not sure whether you've ever ventured down this path, but
I've ventured down many paths in my time, sir.
Yes,
Sometime lucky to escape with my life. But,
yes, I'm sure there's been many a time when you've looked back down that road and thought, probably shouldn't have head down there, but nonetheless, here I am and I'm still walking.
Yeah.
Now, the idea of creating lists for others, how do you feel about that idea? So, at some stage during the process of a day that you've got all of these things going on, and, you've got your 5 things perhaps as per List Ninja, and then over here you've got these other things, and I'm like, I could actually give you these. How do you think that kind of leadership style would work? Sort of sending someone a list and say, could you make sure these are done by end of day, please, old mate?
Well, I think it depends on who you give the list to, my friend.
Okay.
Like, I think there are some people who actively love that kind of management. It's like, just give me something to do and I'll do it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to do it the way you did it, but I'll get it done. Like, give me a list and I'll get it done.
Yeah.
And it helps because it then frees the leader up to do what the leader needs to do.
Yeah.
But if the leader is also a micromanager, then all that does is it frees them up to make another list to give to you later. So I think it's the right thing to do if you need to clear your space. But I think it's that. Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
And then I'm going to come back, circle back around, and ask if you actually like that management. Here's a list, mate. Go and do it. Style yourself. Do you see that whole idea of good busy versus bad busy?
Yeah, spinning your wheels versus traction is really what that's about.
Yeah. And I wonder if, and I have no proof of this. So here you go, a theory, John's theory.
By JD.
Yeah. Mark this time, mark this date when you first heard this. I reckon the reason we make ourselves busy is because every deadline we hit, every task we successfully achieve, we have been taught, our bodies have been taught to have a little celebration. And so there's this little dopamine hit that strikes you in your amygdala or your frontal cortex, or whichever bit it is, that actually makes you feel good about the results of being busy. And so we make ourselves busy in order to feel that little dopamine hit.
Yep, I think that's a really good point. And I think it's the little wins that help us believe that we're achieving or worth more or getting where we need to go. But you're right, it's that point of saying, cross it off the list. It's almost like the body does something, and it is probably the dopamine, but it's like you get to that point and you feel this sense of relief, excitement, happiness, joy, like it all kind of just waves over you when you've got through that part. I mean, it's also another thing that's really interesting, JD, is people get busy blindness. So when they're so busy, it's almost like they're stuck in the headlights and they just can't move. You get to a point where there's so much going on.
Yes.
And whether that's, like
100%.
And you just can't move. You look at the list and you can't actually move forward. So what sort of advice would you have when someone gets to that point?
This is when a list becomes a timeline.
Yeah.
See, you go from a vertical list to a horizontal list. Okay, see, that just gives you a change of perspective. See what I did there? See, you change the perspective.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it becomes, so it's like, I've got to do this list, and so I need to do this by then, need to do this by then, and then that will give you,
that's the key,
the amount of time that you've got, not wasting time because time's full, time's busy.
Yep.
It's funny that we don't build redundancy into our days anymore.
No.
Like you used to have, businesses used to work at 80%. I think that was the rule of thumb, wasn't it?
Yeah, roughly. Yep, spot on.
And so if things got busy, you were able to handle the busyness.
Yep.
But if you weren't busy, then the people had a time to refresh or to, retrain or, and then, we got all very, productivized and, oh, you're sitting around doing nothing. You better do this. It's like, no, actually sitting around doing nothing is actually part of my cunning plan to do something magnificent later on, whatever. But yes, our timeline, sorry, rabbit hole. A little, timeline. Just go, well, I've got to do this by then. I've got to do this by then. I've got to do this by then. And if someone else comes in and says, can you do this? You go, well, I can't.
Well, no, again, I think your analogy before, I can, but it's going to be opportunity cost. I can do it instead of doing something else. So you tell me which one you don't want me to do to ensure this one gets done.
Indeed.
And I think that's really the answer to it, and giving people that understanding out there that the list is great, but if you're sitting there staring at the list and unable to move, then you've got to put yourself into a situation where you actually create a time. That should take 45 minutes. I've allocated that time. Post that, I'm going to do this. That should take an hour. I'm post that. And that way, you've got that little window. So all you're focused on is that one task at a time rather than the magnitude of all of the things on that list, whether it's 5 as per List Ninja or whether it's 50, whatever you decide you want to put onto that list.
Whatever works for you. And always give yourself time for a cup of tea or an ice cold beer.
Yeah, exactly. And remember, we're not solving world peace. We're not curing cancer. We are not creating new brains, or we're not doing brain surgery. We're creating ads. It's got to be fun.
Yeah,
it has to be a space where you enjoy what we're doing. Really, it does. And if it's not fun, you really have to find out how to make it fun again, because fun is the key to being in advertising. I had a chat with someone yesterday and we're talking about that exact point. That if you want to go and be all serious, well, do something other than this, because this gives you the opportunity to, yes, be serious at a level, but it gives you the opportunity to be childlike and be creative and to come up with ideas and to think about things.
You may just have solved world peace in doing that. Now, you may have. Like, I really like that, but I like that sense of if you're actually too busy to smile, then you're too busy.
Yeah.
And I think if you take that as a rule of thumb, and it's like, how are you? Oh, I'm busy. It's like, are you busy or are you just saying you're busy? But if you are busy and you're too busy that you don't even have time to smile, then For those of you playing along at home, it was the most ridiculous thing anyone's ever seen, but it was glorious at the same time. Thank you for that smile, my friend. That was lovely.
Smile is really where I've gone with that. And that's where you're just overwhelmed by what's happening and you're unable to really find that space where you're like, this is great. I'm actually enjoying doing lots of stuff for great, clients or campaigns or whatever. And the smile's the real important test, isn't it? Really, if you can't put that proper smile on, then you are too busy, or you're not able to be able to, to find your smile or to delegate or do whatever it is, create the list. And I think in summary of where we've gone today, what I was really trying to achieve with this, although we're too busy to prepare for the show, so this is really just all ad lib. No, I'm kidding. We're just joking.
No, we always do our homework. Always do our homework.
Yes. Was to help anyone out there, and I think often people do find themselves pretty busy, but how to go through that process of getting stuff done, and whether you look at delegation or whether you look at the process of the list and then putting the chronology or the timeline that goes with the list, whatever. There's a bunch of different things there. But I think when you're busy, you got to remember your smile. That's probably the parting thought, JD. You got to remember busy, but you've still got to be happy. Busily happy, happily busy.
happily busy. Like you need to feel like you're being fulfilled.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to be joyful. You know, I think this search of a joy in life is a little overrated. I know. Please send letters to the editor, not to me. But that this sense of of actually purposefulness, of getting things done, the stuff that gives you some sense of achievement. If you achieve stuff,
little dopamine. All of a sudden, mood goes up.
Everything goes up.
Yep, absolutely, indeed it does.
All right, mate.
That's another edition of the Bones of Advertising. Don't go changing, JD. I will see you next week.
You will. Take care.
Look forward to it.
See you.